Andre. So nice to see you again. It's been too long.
It's great to be on your podcast. Thanks for inviting me.
No, you are very, very welcome. I like it because he's already, for those of you who are not watching this and you're only listening, Andre has rocked up in a very nice, like pastel pink little bomber jacket. I like it. It's very on brand.
You know what? I was a little worried when I looked at the outfit that we might be too matchy, but you know what? Let's go with it.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you ever so much for joining us. I absolutely cannot wait for this conversation. Give yourself a little introduction so that people know a little bit more about you before we get stuck in.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So if you don't know me, my name is Andre Yeu. I'm based in Canada, and I'm the founder of Hounds Fly Dog Training. I started it in 2010. It's a pet dog training school that serves downtown pet dog owners in the city of Toronto. And I started it as an owner-operated business myself, just seeing whether it would work out. And over the last, now coming up to 16 years, I've managed to grow it to a business that does over $1 million US in annual revenue. We're a team of 20, and we have multi-locations. I'm really passionate about two things. One, helping pet dog guardians have great relationships with their dogs and live harmonious with them. And I'm also passionate about creating a really, really great business that employs talented dog trainers and behavior consultants and helps them, you know, have a great living and do work that's fulfilling. So both business and dogs are two of my passions. And that's why I'm so excited to be on your podcast today.
Oh, it's going to be a good one, isn't it?
Yeah. I want to, if we can, take this back to the start, go back to 2010. And can you give us, because you kind of skirted over it like, oh yeah, this is what I've done. And I'm like, hold on, we need to figure out, how did you even start to do this? Was there a vision in the first place? Was there a strategic plan involved? Or did it happen by accident? Like, tell us right back from the start.
If I'm really, really honest about the start in 2010, it was really just winging it. And I never created a business plan, certainly not in 2010. I did not have this grand vision or strategy with goals. I just basically said, what if I rented a small studio not too far from my house in the downtown west neighborhood of part of Toronto? What if I decided to start offering puppy classes and foundation skills training classes to the community? What if I offered private lessons to the community? And I was just curious to see what would happen. Now, I did have a belief, though, that there was an underlying need that was not being met for pet dog guardians in Toronto. So I felt there was an opportunity. Specifically, even in 2010, pet dog training services in Toronto were very, very much cottage industry type businesses. For example, I took pet dog training classes in the mid-00s, and you had to fax machine in your application forms and mail in a check to send your class fees in.
Yeah.
And this was already the mid-00s. Like, e-commerce had been around for 10 years. People were used to already using their credit cards online, and that's what the status quo was. So I definitely had this idea that, you know what, I'm going to bring in the best of the tech, the tech world, bring in the types of conveniences and level of service that people expect in other industries to pet dog training. That was a differentiator. And then the other component too is I also felt dog training as the skill set and the way that things were taught was also behind as well. It was a lot of lure reward based dog training, which, don't get me wrong, is great. But there weren't many people using shaping or targeting or clicker training. So I thought that I could elevate both the service from terms of how we train dogs, but also elevate the client experience. So that was my idea, the opportunity, and I just went ahead and did it. And that was the first 3 years of the business.
Wow. Do you know what I really like about this though, is that you, even though you've kind of admitted to go like, we were just winging it a little bit, which we all do. And I love that we can just own that space as well and go like, yeah, I'm just going to put my hands up. You figure out this business stuff as you go along a little bit, don't you? But actually the fact that you did have somewhat of an idea in almost like wanting to bring it into, I don't know, just a little bit more like modern day of how you're going to operate. So having that awareness. And do you know what still fascinates me now? We're in what, 2025, nearly 26, and we still have people sending out a PDF with bank transfer details on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your face, brilliant. Need to clip that up there.
Oh, yeah, it happens. Yeah. But I can already hear, even in those first 3 years, your entrepreneurial spark. And that is something that we talk a lot about on this podcast. And we really hone in on those people that have that entrepreneurial spark. So what happened next then after that initial first 3 years?
Yeah, so absolutely. The entrepreneurial spark has always been there. But just describing the first 3 years, it was me basically just, and this is what entrepreneurship is. It's basically you got a hypothesis, you put it out there, and then you test and you iterate over and over and over and over again. So I found that fairly quickly within the first year, I was having a lot of success. My only marketing initially was a website that had good blog articles, a Google business listing that was well configured. And then lo and behold, I started getting admissions forms and applications and inquiries. So the leads were starting to come in and the marketing flywheel was beginning. And then I went from, I had my first class within a couple of weeks of launching the website with people applying and actually paying for classes. And I just kept on building that snowball up. And it was around the 3-year mark. I referenced 3 years as sort of like a key inflection point, is because that was the point where I could go from just having part-time contractor staff that were doing it a couple hours a week on the side to give me relief. And I was able to actually hire my first full-time salaried employee. And that's when I started to actually have to think about this as a real business, because I felt obligated that I need to do this properly, because now someone's trusting that this is a viable business. Someone's trusting that payroll will get made every 2 weeks, and they're counting on me for their living. And that's when I started taking it a lot more seriously.
Yeah. Much bigger responsibilities, eh?
It's weird though, isn't it? How we can take these responsibilities on for somebody else, yet for ourselves, we're like, oh yeah, we'll just stay in Scratsville.
We've already taught you about scratting, haven't we?
It's a really good point. Like I always felt for myself, well, this is just an experiment. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just shrink it down to a side hustle and then go get a job somewhere. That was always like the plan B. But as soon as someone agreed and signed that offer, I just felt this huge burden of responsibility. Now this person is relying on me and relying on my vision and trusting me. And that's when I really knew that I had to start taking it more seriously. And it was between sort of years 3 and 9 that I kept on adding employees one by one, but I'm going to describe this entire first 3 year and then up to year 9 as me not really taking it very seriously. It was around year 9 that I actually had this idea that, there's a latent opportunity to really, really grow this and become very methodical and systematic and create a business plan and create a strategy. And it was around year 9 where I said, you know what? My goal is to 3x this business and get it over the $1 million revenue mark. And that's when I started taking entrepreneurship very seriously. And I started respecting what I had built as something that was not just a cute little way to make a living, but something that could be really, really impressive.
Yeah, I love it. So what was the turnover of the business then at that year 9 mark? Like, what was the jump you had to get get it over a mil?
Yeah, at year 9, we'll use US currency just as sort of like the common denominator. It was about the $300,000 US per year revenue mark. And at that point, I had 3 salaried employees and then a bunch of part-time employees. So we were certainly bigger than the first 9 years, and we'd reached this comfortable sort of plateau. And there was a period of time leading up to that where I said, oh, we're good. Like Goldilocks rule, right? It's just the right size. And then the idea that I was wasting away that opportunity sort of crossed my mind. And the question was posed, well, why can't it be 3 times bigger? That entered sort of my consciousness. And that's when I decided to do it. But yeah, it was around the $300,000 US annual revenue mark that we decided to then do the 3x project.
Oh, tell us more about the 3x project. What was involved? Whose help did you have, if anyone's, and what kept you on that trajectory?
Yeah, it was a bit of dumb luck, to be perfectly honest. And I think that sometimes dumb luck is what leads people to discover great things. So I received a cold email. It hit my inbox like the dozens of spam emails you get per day as a business owner, offering financing or selling this product or requesting a call for this. I got a cold email from the membership director of a business mastermind and entrepreneurship group that was inviting me to join this group as long as, and it was for businesses that had $1 million in revenue per year. That was like the minimum qualifier. And I wrote back to the person saying, wow, where have you been all my life? I would love to be part of a group that had this sort of like, um, this sort of qualification and the ability to join a mastermind or peer group where people like this, operated and get mentorship. But I wrote back saying, no, but I'm not there yet. I'm only at around $400,000. So I'll keep you in mind and maybe one day I'll be able to join. And he wrote back saying, oh, by the way, we also have a program for companies that are less than, so between $250,000 US and 1 million. It's the accelerator program and it's designed to help you get there. And when I saw that, I jumped in. So the big turning point for me was finally finding people that could teach me and coach me and mentor and being parts of groups where other scrappy entrepreneurs were also in it every day with the mission of going 3X. That's what really, really became the impetus for me to go all in. And had I not received that cold email, or if it had been filtered to my spam inbox and I'd never seen it, there's a good chance I'd still be stuck in that Goldilocks period of like everything's fine and missed out on that opportunity.
I love that it was a cold email. Did you, what were your thoughts around that cold email? Did you know anything about them before that?
No, I'd never heard about them before. And up until that point, I was very poorly networked in terms of mentors or peers or entrepreneurs that were larger than me to like talk to and get advice. So that cracked open, world of talking to people that own businesses that make $1 million a year or 3 or 5 or 10 or larger. And I think that that's really the key. As fast as you can, working with people who have already walked the path that you want to walk and learning from them, either from a peer-to-peer perspective or peer mentor perspective, that is absolutely essential. And if I had that on year one, who knows how large When Hounds Fly would be at this point. It took me 9 years to get that cold email. And I often wonder, what if someone had told me in year one, look for mentorship? What if someone in year one had told me sign up for some sort of coaching or mentorship or mastermind group? Who knows what it'd be like? But I'm still happy that I found it. It just took a little longer than maybe it should have.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many ways we could like dig into all of this,
Yeah.
because you've got the story of, just that true grit that you continue to do this for 9 years and then still wanted more at that 9-year mark. And as we know, for dog trainers predominantly in this industry, we're going, it's hard to get people to stay in it because of the, I don't know, like all the excuses we can all come up with, like the climate, cost of living, politics, like just,
Shit clients.
yeah,
and
people
no one
just
wants to
don't
do
want
the
to do
work.
anything anyway. But yeah, like that lovely grittiness of actually just staying the course and going, actually, no, we have got something here. We can keep doing this. And then that determination to want to do more. Like, I love that.
Well, why don't we start with the scrappy period? Because I do think there's lots of lessons for people that are owner operators that are like, I think that's a really, really good opportunity, because the lessons that I learned in the first 9 years through grit and how I set that up is what enabled me to get the point where I was in the Goldilocks place. And I think that the Goldilocks place is not a bad thing. I talk about it like, oh, geez, I was stuck in the Goldilocks place. Well, it was a pretty sweet spot because I was personally making decent income. I had multiple employees that were very stable. Our brand was really great. I just never envisioned that it could be much larger. But I think even getting to Goldilocks, if you're an owner operator that's struggling, that is a great base camp before you scale the next peak in your expedition.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. I love referring to it as a scrappy period as well. It's quite good, isn't it? I like it. Although I've got Scrappy Doo in my head now. Okay, so what would you say then some of your key lessons were then during that scrappy period that people of 2025 could now take forward in their business?
Yeah, I think the first thing that is really, really important that I implemented day one, like literally January 2010 in the first month, I'll never forget, is that I was selective with the clients I would choose even back on day one. And the story that I'll share is I'm sitting in my little dog training studio that I rented, my experimental dog training studio, which we still have. It's the first location. And I was like, well, I've got 3 clients at this point, so I might as well load some movies on my laptop so that when I'm not busy, I can just like watch movies. And then I was just sitting there and I got a phone call came in. And the person called in asking about dog training, and they were really scattered, and they were calling from a cafe down the street. Literally, I could have walked to see them in person, and they seemed very non-committal. And I described what we did, and I invited them to come by, and they never came by. And at that point, I said, "Well, that is a lead, but I'm going to deliberately choose not to follow up because I knew that that client." And just how wishy-washy they were on the phone and non-committal wouldn't be a great client anyways. So I've always set criteria for the types of clients we work with, even if we are like starving and it's famine time. It's not great to work with clients that are going to drain your batteries. And to quote someone in my peer circle, she's a fellow Karen Pryor Academy faculty member. Her name is Laura Monaco Torelli. She's based in Chicago. She teaches her students, and I've heard her say this: don't take cursed money. And I think that when we accept work with clients that we know don't fit our expectations, it's going to end up costing us more than the revenue that they add in terms of burnout or fatigue or frustration. So I think that that was absolutely key. And could I have grown faster if we took everyone? Revenue wise, yes, but I don't know if we would have even gotten to the point of Goldilocks. The other component too is by having criteria for the types of clients you work with, then you end up getting very good reviews because I know I can help you be successful because you meet my criteria. I know that what I have to offer will help your dog. Let's work together and create some brilliant outcomes. So that facilitates a tremendous snowball effect of like word of mouth where people would start saying, Andre's amazing. Andre helped my dog. Andre's puppy class was great, et cetera, et cetera. But when you take anyone and everyone, if you get 1 out of 2 people saying Andre was great and the other person says it was meh, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle to get to a point where you have a reputation that's sterling. So my first advice for everyone, even if you're struggling, is select your clients carefully.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one. We've all taken on the wrong clients before.
Yeah. And some quite dodgy ones as well when you rock up at their house and you're like, I don't feel like this is a safe place for me to be.
Yeah. And that's not even talking about the lack of conversation that you may have had or not had beforehand, because so many dog trainers don't even speak to their clients first. So therefore, how are you going to know anything about them? How are you going to know they're the right clients or the wrong clients for you? And exactly that. I've turned at places and gone like, oh, Jesus, am I going to come out of here alive? Like, you just don't have a clue, do you?
Absolutely. In fact, here's a story. It's kind of creepy, but one of my female employees back during the scrappy period of When Hounds Fly arrived to the person's house for a private lesson, and he opened the door wearing a bathrobe and offered her a glass of wine.
Oh, okay.
And when we had a team meeting about it, like we're all just like, wow. And that became a lesson. Like we have a rule now, which is if there's any signs of intoxication or substance abuse or anything of that nature, every team member knows safety comes first, which is like you immediately leave and we'll fire that client on the spot. So having standards for who you work with and looking at it as an interview process, right? All sales processes have a qualification process. It's a series of questions that a prospect who's inquiring about your services has to ask, or that we have to ask. And if they don't answer in a way that passes some sort of score that makes them minimally viable as a client, then the best thing to do is say, I don't think we're a good fit, and maybe suggest where they could go just to be a nice person, and let that one go.
Yeah. I want to explore actually within this theme of, because you mentioned that even in those real like famine times where, you're absolutely crapping your pants, that it's like, oh, there's no money coming in. How am I going to pay the bills and all of that? Yet still having that ability and skill to say no to somebody, you're not the right client for me. How do you even go about working on mindset for that?
Yeah, that's a really great question because not having money or being worried about making rent or your mortgage or covering the bills, that can that can be a very dangerous thing in terms of your mindset and mentality and anxiety levels. So, this is just my opinion. I think there's many different ways to operate in businesses. I personally don't want to ever start a business where I'm losing money month after month with the mentality that I'll make it back in the future when profits reach higher levels. So you think about a lot of tech startups that people celebrate. For example, Spotify. Everyone knows Spotify is this massive company with, massive reach and massive subscriber base. But if you look at their financials, like I don't know if they've ever turned a profit or they've only recently started turning a profit, literally quarter after quarter, hundreds of millions of dollars lost every year, operating a loss to make profit in the future. I don't think that's a great way for an owner operator to operate because it's going to drive you to high levels of anxiety where you're going to make poor decisions. So, what I did in the first scrappy years, this is in the first 3 years, is I looked for other ways to supplement my personal income so that at least I know the facility's rent is taken care of. I have the bare minimum I need to survive. Um, and not worry about going into the red month after month. So some things that I did in the early days, I was an early importer to Canada of Thunder shirts, the anxiety wraps, because I discovered it when I was visiting the States for training, and I did that as a sort of side hustle. It was still related to the business, and that was a way to supplement income. And you know what? If I didn't have that or I didn't have other things, I would have considered getting a part-time job elsewhere, perhaps in my previous career, just to keep the cash flow going so I didn't have to do desperate things related to the dog training business, such as work with clients that would have driven me crazy, or second, done services that weren't in service to the bigger vision, which is to become known as the place you bring your puppy for puppy classes and the people you go to if your dog has a behavioral issue. So I'm glad that I had little side things in the meantime, in the first year especially, that kept me at least in the black, just barely.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
And for my journey was, I want to say similar actually, because I kept my corporate job whilst I was side hustling the dog business, and I dropped a day a week to go and test out. It's like, oh, do clients, well, or rather, can I get bookings during a weekday? Because that mindset block at that time was like, people, whoever these people are, only want evening and weekends. That's the only way I can make it as a dog trainer. So I was like, actually, I'm going to test the theory and go into it. So yeah, I think having that baseline, that ability to, I think it's having the ability and the awareness to recognize what your wobbly mindset bits are.
Yeah. And what do you need to put in place to be able to maintain? I think it's staying true. Like for you, it's like staying true to the path that I want to be on. It means more to me than having to maybe sacrifice by getting a part-time job on the side. Like some people might look at that and go like, really? You have to do that? But that's that strength of knowing who you are and what your purpose is and where you're going. Like really admire that.
Yeah, and let's face it, like not having enough money month after month sucks. And it's gonna do things to your mood, your cognitive ability to think clearly, to serve your clients. So I love the fact, Joe, that you share that you blended out of the corporate world. I think that that's a very prudent way to do it. I mean, other ways that I could think about people considering that transition, if they're just like, it's too soon to go all in on this dog thing. I'm not ready yet. That could just mean like accepting part-time contracts in your previous industry or part-time work in your previous industry as a way to blend out. And I think that that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like I almost knew what I was doing at the time, but I was definitely winging it, going, I'm just going to try it. But clearly there was a purpose deep down. Okay, then. So if you were starting business all over again then in today's day and age, what would you do differently?
Oh, so many things could be done differently. I joke when I meet with younger people at conferences that are starting up their dog training businesses now that and they often look at me as like a role model, like, wow, it's so impressive. You operate at 5 different facilities and you have so many team members and you deliver so many lessons in classes and so on and so forth. And I say, yeah, it's it's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with what I have, and I'm pretty proud of what I've built with my team. But you have to recognize a brick and mortar dog training school is a boomer dog training business, right? It's very traditional. And that 2025 creates opportunities where that may not be the be all end all business model to pursue. So don't necessarily look at acquiring facilities and hiring staff as the way to do it. I enviously look at Gen Z entrepreneurs that have very successful businesses that are 100% virtual, that have no staff, only contractors that fill in certain components, that use online delivery. So I think that's the first thing. Like, don't look at the boomer model as the only way. And then the second thing for sure that I think is really important is marketing has changed significantly from 2010. My playbook in 2010 was primarily search engine optimization because people were mainly just using Google to find stuff. So making sure you show up well in terms of the map and making sure your business shows up in the results on the 3-pack, that was a focus point. And then writing blog posts that got a lot of great inbound links to build up credibility for my website so that I would always have good organic results. That was like, those are my two main marketing focuses back in 2010. But I think that if those are increasingly less important. So looking at social media as a incredible way to scale reach is something that I would look at a lot more closely now. And it's an area that we focus on when Hounds Fly. We're paying catch up here. We sort of dropped the ball on that. And then I think the third thing I already mentioned, like get mentoring, join a coaching program, find a circle, your tribe of entrepreneurs that teach you the shortcuts so that you don't have to spend as much time experimenting. So I volunteer as a entrepreneur mentor to for a bunch of organizations. I'm assigned like a youth entrepreneur that we have monthly calls on, and I think about all the things that I teach them and how far ahead they're going to be in a year because they get the shortcuts. So I wish I'd looked harder back in the day for that mentor, that coach. And it's great nowadays that people like the idea of coaching is even just is well known. And the fact that there are coaches that have niches in the dog training space like Canine Business Academy, the fact that these exist, they shouldn't be slept on.
Mm.
It's interesting, isn't it? What's your views on the coaching space for the dog industry? So you mentioned that obviously it seems quite, I can't think of the word you just said now, but it's almost it's still kind of that non-existent, but it's starting to creep in. What's your view on the dog trainers' awareness of these organizations, or even the fact that you can go and seek business coaching?
I think it's a lot better than it would have been 15 years ago. That's for sure. Because a lot of times when I speak, people will come after I speak at a conference or I've delivered a talk and they'll ask whether I do coaching or mentoring. And I don't. So I'm still very much doing it myself and I enjoy doing it myself. But I think that there's an awareness that one can approach someone and ask for coaching and mentoring and even pay for it. And I do think that there's increased awareness of mastermind groups in general in all areas of like study or pursuit, whether it's personal development, entrepreneurship in general, or in the case of, organizations like Canine Business Academy, like to the niche. I do have another opinion about it, though. I do think it's the wild, wild west. And I've personally run into a number of coaches of all kinds, both dog business or entrepreneurship in general, that are really, let's just use the term, they're grifters and they are taking advantage of people that don't know any better and sucking huge amounts of money from them and delivering just fluff and hot air. So I can't emphasize enough that if you're thinking about joining a group or getting coaching, that you really vet the people that you're working with to make sure that they literally just didn't attend, they didn't literally just attend a course on how to start a coaching service and then just started a coaching service yesterday. And I see it because there are dog trainers that they only started delivering dog training services like in 2021. And now in 2024, 2025, they've started their coaching program. And I think that's ridiculous. 3 years in the business is almost like saying, I'm a marriage happiness expert and I've been married for 2 years. Like, no way. Like, you can't have been in the game long enough for just 2 years to have experienced the highs and lows and the bounce backs and the challenges. Like, 2 years is not even enough to go through uh, a cycle of economic recession and rebound to have experienced that. So I think that experience counts. And personally, I think that someone shouldn't coach unless they've been at it for at least 10 years themselves.
Yeah. Do you know what? That reminded me when we first started, we had an inquiry come in and the person said to us, actually, have you, you're looking at me like you don't remember this.
Know what this is about. Come on.
Yeah, this inquiry came in and it was, can I just check that, because you two seem amazing. However, are you just going to spout off what you've learned from somebody else? Because you've mentioned that you've got a mentor. So are you now just being, and I was like, I love this. This is brilliant. I was like, no, basically. It's like, we've been doing this for, it's like, we've lived it, we've breathed it, like collectively, it's like, what, 30 years now between us both? It's like, we've been in it, we know it. But I loved the fact that this person actually came forward and asked that question.
Yeah, that's great. Because I think that a lot of people don't. They fall for the razzle dazzle. And then suddenly they forked over tens of thousands of dollars for coaching, which is just fluff. Like, it's literally just AI generated drivel or stuff that's been copied by someone's course that they just bought themselves. And I think that is the current danger of coaching and mentoring, is that too many people are trying to get into this space just as a way to make money quickly. So vet who you join or mentor under or coach very carefully. And as soon as money starts being transacted, it's really important to ask those sorts of questions.
And it's finding out if the substance behind the claims, I suppose, isn't it? Same with like dog owners looking for a dog trainer, though, isn't it?
Just thinking
like,
that, yeah.
It's exactly the same, which is why we need to give dog owners a reason to trust us, and for them to, like, I know you talk so much about the marketing and how to meet owners where they are and not trying to lose track of they're going to be completely lost if you're talking a different language to them. And it's all that is as one, isn't it? It's kind of going like, that's who we're talking to. That's who we're trying to bring on this journey with us, and like, hold off with all the jargony stuff right now and let's get them on board first, and then we can take them along that journey. And then they should have a really informed opinion of whether you are the right person for them before they even work with you. So it's the same really for that way around as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's all about selecting your service providers carefully, whether it's a dog trainer that is looking for that coach or a dog owner, pet guardian who's looking for their trainer. Making sure that everybody needs to do their due diligence these days, because we do live in the era of grifters that are basically, and this is the playbook. They watch a few hours of YouTube videos about a topic. They make note of the buzzwords that appear in these videos. They develop a very basic understanding of the topic. And then they suddenly advertise themselves as a qualified coach for that topic. Like, that is literally how a lot of dog trainers that are entering the market do it. They learn from YouTube, they practice on their own dog, and then suddenly they have a website and social media departments where they're a dog trainer and they're taking clients. And I would describe that person as a dog training grifter. And then similarly with the coaching. Barely operated a dog training business for a couple of years, have not experienced the ups and downs or any sort of significant challenges or growth. They've had bumper years because the economic tides were high, and suddenly now they're coaching other dog training professionals about how to grow their business when they're a tadpole in terms of development.
Yeah. Do you know what? This reminds me of a conversation we were having earlier about actually the education system and how, because when I've recently completed my animal behaviour degree through university. God knows how I did that alongside this, but hey ho, we did it. And there was a business module in there in year one. So what did we say it was? Level 4?
Level 4.
Level 4. And I was sitting there going, what? The things that you are teaching me, I was like, you've never ran a business. So you are now teaching me and my fellow students, because I didn't really attend those lessons. I managed to get out of it because I'd already got a business. I was like, I don't need to sit in this. And But yeah, I was like, how are you able to teach this? And this is the education system. This is like schooling going, we're going to teach you how to run a business. I was like, you've never run one. You're just learning from a textbook and now regurgitating that information out there.
Yeah, it's I think that, that's what they often say about, not to disparage teachers and educators, but the saying goes like those that do, or those that can't do teach. I think bottom line is it's important that the teacher has some direct experience, right? So at least for me, for example, I try to show my work as a dog trainer by demonstrating, yeah, I have trained dogs and these are some of the dogs I've trained. I show my work because I think that's important for pet dog owners to see that I've actually handled dogs and these are my capabilities. And then I think that if you're going to be a business coach, you should demonstrate what kind of businesses have you grown. That should be part of the evaluation criteria. Vicky, you mentioned language. I'd love to go into that area because it is a passion of mine as for the last couple of years. That one of the reasons why trainers like us are struggling is we're not connecting with our audiences. What have you been thinking about as it relates to our language and how we communicate?
Well, exactly everything that you you say really is that whole we're so in the business, we're so consumed with the information and the knowledge and the excitement and the passion behind it all that we forget there's a human being that's quite far removed from all of that world that we're trying to attract and we're trying to talk to. And for us, with the clients that we have, it's one of the biggest challenges is to help them almost detach a little bit from that business because it's helpful too, not because you don't care, not because you've just got this inability to do it, but just go like, remember what you were like before you were a dog trainer. Yes. Remember what you knew, not a lot, and how you would describe dogs or the way they behaved or the factors around dogs. Like that's where you need to be putting your focus. And it's so hard for force-free dog trainers to take away that it's belittling their knowledge, it's belittling their ability. Like, look what I've trained for so long and I've got all this stuff and I want to get it out to the world. And we really get that, we really do, because we've kind of been there and we've made those mistakes and we've realised that people are just not with you, are not on the same page. So it's maybe if you could give us some of those tips as to how we can start to reframe our mind a little bit on that.
Yes, I loved how you said, remember what it was like when you were a brand new dog, not even trainer, dog guardian, dog owner. And I think that was one of the keys to success for us and for me is that, and in general, like one of my keys to success in my career in sales, prior to starting my business, I was in sales, is to always be able to put yourself into the shoes of the person that is buying and really remember what it is like and what kind of questions and thoughts you have based on the information that they likely have. So one personal story. I was a brand new dog owner in 2006. So I got my first dog in 2006. And I remember reading a book, printed book, about how to teach your dog to walk at heel. And the instructions were to keep the dog next to you by your side and praise them as you walked. So I got my brand new rescue dog. Had never been on a leash, really. He was a hunting dog. And I kept him on the tightest leash ever, like this, just one, like 6 inches long. And he was pulling for an hour, like choking himself on a flat collar while I used my arm to keep him next to my side, and I followed the instructions, and I just literally said for an hour, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy. And that was my first walk. And that was me literally reading the instructions, which is keep your dog by your side and tell them they're a good boy. That's how you teach a dog to heel. So I can remember and I wasn't stupid in 2006. I just didn't know anything about dogs. Like that was my interpretation of those instructions. And I think that if I remember that story, then I use that story to remind myself, this is how little people know. And this is how what should be a very basic instruction is misinterpreted by someone who knows literally nothing. So I think it's really important to talk to people that are thinking about getting a dog for the first time or just got their first dog as a young adult for the first time. Dogs, when you're a kid with your parents, don't count in my book. and ask them the types of questions they are asking and listen carefully to the words they use. And the types of questions they ask, these are some real life examples. How do you know if you have a good dog? Is my dog naughty? Is my dog being dominant? How do I discipline my dog? How do I get an obedient dog? These are the sorts of languages that people that know very little bit about dog behavior or dogs in general will ask. Now, I did it as a test, and the test is done. I actually released a short form piece of content last week on Instagram called "How do you know if your dog is a good dog?" Because it's literally using the language of people that are just getting a dog right now. And I know it's a ridiculous question. And in fact, when the question was posed to me by someone, I said, that is the stupidest question ever. And this would be the stupidest form of content. But that's where you got to put your ego aside and be like, I know it's stupid, but these are the questions that people are asking. So if you want to reach that audience, you have to use that kind of language. But the test was, how would the dog training experts react to that content? And I got tons of negative comments on that
I can
post.
imagine.
Yeah, tons. But it proves the point. The fact that they can't understand what the purpose of that content was. The content was not for dog training professionals. It's not for you or I. I made the content for someone who just got the dog yesterday, and this is what they're thinking about. So oftentimes too, people create products and services that serve what they want themselves. And we make this mistake in our business too. For example, wouldn't it be great if there was a class that people could just come and work on whatever dog sport activity they wanted or whatever trick they wanted, and it would be like a training club? Wouldn't that be great? And our core clients don't want that. They just want their dog to walk decently on leash, come uncalled, and be calm at home. So when we have discussions about, wouldn't it be great if we did this? We always go back to our core client definition and say, no, they don't want this. They want to workshop on recall. They want to workshop on polite greetings. They don't want to join a dog training club. It's not our core clients. So it's really, really important to drop the ego and be willing to use language that we might find ick because we know so much, and really remember what it is like to be the guy that is walking his rescue beagle for an hour on a 6-inch leash, gripping his bicep to force the dog at heel, saying, good boy, good boy, good boy. And that was me.
Oh, I love what you've said.
Oh my
there
God, we're
about-
literally just like,
it's just yes, like we say this all the time. It fascinates me that I know this will happen in other industries. I don't see it happening as prominently as I do in the force-free dog community. Of we seem to be building our businesses for our peers, colleagues, competitors. Like they all fall within that same category. And why? Because on the one hand, you are now stressing that you've got no inquiries coming in, which means you've got no money coming in, which means you're now riddled with anxiety because you potentially can't pay the bills this month, or it's going to be really tight. However, all you're concerning yourself with is, but am I using the right terminology? This imposter syndrome bit kicks in because we're so fearful of what another dog professional might say towards us that we've got it wrong. Or anything like that. And
how dare we use layman's terms?
Yeah, it's like we've forgotten
the judgment,
the core fundamentals of a business 101, really. It's like you're here to help. You want to work with owners of dogs. We had a conversation about this actually. Even the fact that our language within the industry has now changed to pet guardians. Do dog owners refer to themselves as pet guardians? I'm not sure they've caught up to that yet. And people are mortified when we suggest, like, don't call them a dog owner, a dog guardian. It's not relatable. So you've already switched them off. Mm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it just fascinates me that it still seems to be quite a prominent thing that we are putting all of our energy into
creating content for other dog trainers.
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah. And if you look at social media and the environment that exists today, it is basically like a Skinner box or an operant conditioning chamber. Here, I'm going to go technical for a bit just for fun, because your audience will get it. It is basically an operant conditioning chamber that trains trainers like us to speak in a way that only connects to other dog trainers. Because what happens is someone will release a post or content that will use a term like reward your dog frequently, and then someone will go, it's technically reinforce. And then what ends up happening is that is an aversive stimuli in that comment. And then the trainer goes, ooh, I got shamed. So the next time they'll say, reinforce your dog frequently, which then shifts their messaging in the wrong direction in terms of the target audience. So literally the comment section is a place where aversive comments shape our industry into the wrong direction, which is why, with that mentality, like, I don't care that Zach George left a nasty comment on my good dog post. It doesn't matter to me because I understand who my audience is. And I don't care that I personally think that the good dog question is dumb. It's the question that clients that work with us are asking. Therefore, let's answer it.
Such a good observation. I also want to lean in on something you were saying about that we create services for ourselves. We're seeing this a lot in the online space, right? So we totally agree that you can deliver dog training services online and kind of virtually. But it's this trend to go, I want to create something where I can just do very minimal input. Like, I want to have this thing where owners can just come along, work through it themselves, and I don't have to do anything. Like, that's what I want. And we're just like,
okay.
Does that really work? But it seems to be the big thing at the moment for us. And we're having that kind of, that's what you would like. That suits you down to the ground, because your input on, or your thought process around the input that you'll have to put into it is very minimal. Reality check, you're probably going to have to do even more work than you thought you would. Than actually if you went in person and did dog training, like, normally. And it's having that kind of understanding, I suppose, to go, where does that come from? Like, why do we think that's acceptable? And is that actually going to get the result for the dog owner? Is that the right thing for us to be putting on? And do they need it? Do they want it? Is it going to solve their problem? Don't know. Thoughts?
I think it's grifter culture, which is the idea of, I'm going to launch an online course that sells itself for 24/7 and requires no human input. And I'm going to wake up in Bali and see that there's $10,000 in my Stripe account. Like,
Yes.
That is the mentality. And unfortunately, when it comes to entrepreneurial success, there tends to be a bias towards seeing the ones that have managed to pull it off, but they're in the minority, right? That work from anywhere entrepreneur that's built that online course and wakes up in Bali with $10,000 every morning, like, that's 1 out of 20,000 people that attempted it. And it may have been for a very, very specific type of topic or niche where that delivery model works. But let's face it, how many people get into shape just by signing up for, online like workout videos? Like, who has the motivation to work out every single day themselves and load up that video and do it? Well, some, but that's also a reason why personal trainers as an industry exist, because the human element is the accountability component, the personal support component. And I think that this is true of dog training as well. I think that many dog training courses that are sold like that, this is the perfect recall course. And if you buy this recall course, your dog will recall. I bet if you looked behind the scenes under the hood and looked at the completion ratio of those courses, like the people that actually watched every module, I bet it's abysmal. So in the end of the day, people are just taking $29, $59 from people. And the consumers that receive it get no value as a result. They just spent money thinking they solved a problem, but really didn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I created a very similar thing during COVID as a reaction to it, as a lot of people did. And I went,
bad person.
I know. But my thought process at the time was like, I need to replicate my puppy classes in this self-paced video series, and everybody's got the access to the information, and they should have this brilliantly trained puppy at the end of it. And just didn't happen like that. And then since then, I've done a lot of understanding and learning, and like, yeah, I just was like, what did you do, Vic? Why did you even think that was going to work? But I get it. I get that it sounds a really nice, attractive thing to be able to do. And actually in that COVID period, that's all I could pretty much come up with, without any support around me and knowledge around me to help me and direct me. That's kind of all I could come up with. But I think now there's so much access to this business help, and there's stuff out there. Even if you go and watch a bit of YouTube and I think you can get a pretty good idea that that is not as easy as it sounds, and it's not living the dream like you think it might be. That's just my opinion, maybe, though.
Yeah, and I think we look at the outliers. We look at the people that are able to do it, to build followers of millions that convert into leads of tens of thousands that convert into thousands of people that buy. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with online courses. Our business has recorded and shot and have self-paced courses that support our brick and mortar. And I'm not saying that that's not the right way to do it. I just think that it's, as you said, it's not as easy as we think it is. And unless you build in an infrastructure behind those online courses that support activation, where they actually look at the thing and do the thing with their dogs and get support along the way, then we're not really doing a service to the pet dog guardians.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, it is that support behind it, isn't it? It's not enough on its own.
No, I think it's having that purpose for what it is you're doing as well, because we are obviously in the online space, and I can tell you for free, it is not. It is
not easy.
difficult. It is really hard because it's such a noisy marketplace that you have to cut through. And I think the thing that's going to actually help you stand out in that marketplace and do that cut through bit is being authentic. It is showing people that you do have value to give. It is showing up and adding this. I think certainly in the space that we're in now, kind of heading into 2026, I heard something the other day that to build your personal brand, the way that AI is developing as rapidly as it is, there's only around about a 12-month window to really maximize this opportunity to get your personal brand out before the general marketplace starts going, oh, well, are you real or are you a robot? What's happening here? And the fact that we've got this incredible, unique skill set as dog trainers to actually get hands-on, to connect human to human with someone and really give someone that support and accountability. I think we're doing ourselves a disservice as an industry to think that if we just flip everything into online, that's the way to go. I think having an element of it is important. But like you say, it's having it as part of your product ecosystem. It's having it as part of that network to go, it's a bolt on, it's a supplementary thing. It's not the core business.
Suite of services, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, your point about the future. So the predictions about AI, specifically in the area of like video generation and like avatar creation, like within the next 24 months, I will probably be able to send my AI avatar to podcasts like this, and it will basically answer as better than I would answer. So like, I think it's really close. So you're absolutely right. And in terms of AI, there are people that I respect that are like brilliant dog behavior consultants and business owners that are currently developing like AI dog training advisors. Like literally, imagine opening up a prompt where it's like, tell me what your dog is up to. And then you say, my dog has taken a shoe and has brought it to their bed in the living room and won't let me have it. And then you can train these models to basically then say, all right, take a picture of the dog, and the AI will be able to see that the dog is resource guarding and then coach them, right? So this sort of technology exists. So I predict, and a lot of experts predict, that information is going to become instantly accessible by anyone, anywhere, as long as they have a phone. So our sage understanding of how to like analyze the situation and do applied behavior analysis and then refer to like different training plans and then guide, that skill set is going to become increasingly commoditized and actually available on AI. So then the question is, what is the future of our worth in society? And I think that this is where smart entrepreneurs who double down on the human element that AI cannot replicate are going to have a place to thrive in the next 5 to 10 years. Actually, in the areas of things like communication, questioning, demonstrating empathy, being a support. This is stuff that AI will never be able to do as well as a real human. So smart entrepreneurs are thinking how to double down on that because they know the training plans and the analysis and the instructions that is going to become free. It already kind of is.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It is interesting, isn't it? Because even if you look at, and I'm massively generalizing and kind of like stereotypical dog trainer here, the amount of us that would still spend time going and doing ad hoc sessions, it's still very much like a 90s playbook, isn't it? The dog training. It's not, it doesn't feel like it's moved very far forward. It's still a very similar model. But the amount of us that will still spend time going back, writing training plans, doing all this stuff. And I was like, AI can totally do that for you now. I was using ChatGPT last night because we'd locked ourselves out of the oven. Didn't even know the oven had a child lock on it.
Oh.
Darren was having an absolute fit. He was like, why is that getting the oven? Just kept saying safe on it. So I'm there in Chatty, just taking pictures of it, going, what do I do? And it was just giving me the answers. Like, didn't even think to try and use my brain and use things. It was there. But yeah, you don't even go to Google anymore. You go to these AI things. But yes, like bringing it back to our profession of dog trainers, like we're spending time and doing all this admin with using, I mean, potentially even incorporating AI into helping us write these plans. But these models have really got to significantly move forward in order to be able to keep up in the way that technology is evolving.
Mm.
Yeah, we're no longer the arbiters of secret information. I think that as people started giving more and more advice on social media, that was sort of like the first democratization of dog training information. It wasn't no longer contained in a DVD or book that you'd have to watch and read, right? And then AI is able to consume all of this information instantly and become a master level dog trainer just by being fed certain amounts of content. So these tools are going to become available to consumers. So our role has to change. It can't just like our value isn't just I tell you what to do when your dog is having a hard time, because that is going to become that is to me the equivalent of like a telephone operator or an elevator operator from the turn of the century. Like that role is not going to exist in even a few years.
Mm. Yeah, and you did mention before about the importance of like connecting with that client and understanding them and figuring out how best they receive the information. Like for us, that's a massive part of what we think a dog trainer should be able to do is take each person, consider their, like we talk a lot about personality profiling. So it's understanding how they receive the information, how they need to interpret that information, like how we are best delivering it to them, and like so that they can get the best result. And I think that is where sensible dog owners now, sensible dog trainers will go, that's the skill set that's missing. Like all we're doing is slating our clients. All we're doing is moaning they don't do the work and they're failing the dog. And actually, are you taking the time to truly understand them, be empathetic to their individual life circumstances? Like people are busy now. They've got stressful jobs. They've got a lot of stuff. And they don't have the patience that they used to have and the inclination as well. So I was talking to somebody about like a trained for you potential approach. And I know this is a divisive topic in the dog training industry. Like, you know, the US seems to be, and I don't know about Canada, but seems to be very heavy on like board and trains. That isn't something that's that popular over here. But we're a big advocate for like trained for you or do it for you kind of approach if people need it and if people want it, and it takes that pressure away and you are able to see the ability. They're really busy, there's a gap here, they don't want to be a dog trainer, because effectively that's what we're trying to get people to do, is to be that good at being a dog owner that they're effectively a dog trainer. And are we actually taking that into account, or are we going, they're really bad because they're not interested in learning everything like I learn it and I understand it and I apply it? So instead of that, like, are we looking at it all wrong? And what is your opinion on that then?
I absolutely agree that done for you services is going to only increase in terms of demand globally, because as you said, people feel more time pressure, they're busier than ever. So someone's patience to be taught how to train their dog has been dropping, well, ever since dog training started. And I think that there's a limiting belief amongst force-free or positive-based trainers that that done for you is there's a limiting belief that it's bad or that it doesn't work or that it only works if you use compulsion or aversives. And I think that this is not true. America is definitely taking the lead. Day training, at least for the last 5 to 10 years in the US, has become really popular amongst positive trainers where they will visit during the workday and do a training session and maybe a let out for a pee and poo and a bit of exercise and then return the dog and then proceed. So day training has been very successful amongst positive trainers in the US. In Canada, we're a little slower than the US. We tend to be more risk averse, but I am seeing people start to offer that here locally. And then I also think that increasingly there are board and trains that use positive methods that are becoming more and more popular. Traditionally, board and trains, whenever I hear someone, oh, I'm sending my dog to a board and train, that's sort of a red flag for me and also makes me go, oh no, because we normally associate that with very aversive training. But I do think as an industry, we need to get into it. And I do think we need to get over the limiting belief that it can't be done with positive methods and it can't be good for the clients. Because how could it not? Like, if I pre-train the dog to do 5 behaviors very fluently, generalized against a bunch of distractions and under good stimulus control, I would never use those words to a client, just to make sure that everyone understands I'm talking to another pro. That if I hand said dog over and say, you just have to say, sit here, let's go, and place or whatever, and the dog does it, how could that not speed up the process and make the client more successful and the dog happier? How could that not? So the opportunity is there. We just have to get over our limiting beliefs that it can't be done with positive methods.
Yeah. And it's looking at the client like like an actual individual human being that has its needs met, like a dog. Like we bang on about so much about dogs having their needs met, and yet we're not even thinking of the human and what they need.
No, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like we used to do Train for You.
It was really successful.
I did sit and trains because as soon as I had the kids, I was like, I can't be dealing with extra dogs in my house. And I was already trying to get my head around having a tiny human being in the house as well. So I did a sit and train instead, but only for existing clients. And we did our Trained for You with that business model where it was for existing clients. So we knew them, we were already coaching them, they were already on long-term programs with us. And then we spotted those opportunities to go like, you're really struggling here. And ultimately, we're not doing a very good job as a service provider of just showing up and repeating the same thing over and over again, when realistically, you're not going to be able to do this. You haven't got the skill set and you haven't got the time.
But also, who wants to just hang out in a car park and feed the dog when it sees something that it's scared of, like for hours on end? Because
dog trainers.
Exactly. But dog owners do not want to be spending their time doing that. Like, do they? They didn't get a dog for that. They got a dog to hang out in the cafe and go to the park and go on holiday and all this stuff with. But again, we're punishing the dog owner for going, well, you had a dog and you signed up for this. Did they? Like, whoever's fault it is that the dog is like that, might be something they've done, or it might be the dog, genetic, whatever. We cannot just point the blame finger, I think. We've got to just look at that and pivot and go like, how can we improve that situation that they're in right now?
Yeah, I agree. And the reality is if we don't offer that, they're going to go elsewhere. And guess who they're going to call for that board and train or that whatever and train. And it's going to then result in dogs that are suppressed using aversive methods. So we either step up and do it and meet a lot of our clients where they are, or we remain, we remain arrogant and say, well, I don't do it because how will the behaviors continue to be reinforced over time if the person doesn't know how to do training or whatever limiting beliefs we have? And it's like, I can teach people how to give a dog a cookie now and then when they go to their place. It's not that hard. But to shape it and proof it and generalize it and have it work under all these conditions, that is hard. So why don't we take that burden off of our clients?
Yeah, totally agree.
It's it does fascinate me because again, it's like that whole. I always liken anything like this to something like the medical profession where it's like, well, if I had a heart surgeon coming to me or like a brain surgeon saying, oh, this is how you're going to have to do all of this stuff. I'm like, I don't care. It's like, I don't understand. Fix my headache, please. That's literally all I need to know. And I want to know that you're going to do it in a way that aligns with me. No judgment. Just fix my portly head.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
It's the same as any service. Like, my husband's a mechanic. Like, no one wants to hear about how the car gets fixed. Just fix it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think that because all the like the surgeon, the mechanic, the dog trainer, we get into these fields because we're fascinated with the topic, right? I bet your husband loves tooling on like cars and being like, I figured out what was wrong with this thing. It was the insert weird thing, and they get very excited about that process of tinkering and discovering. Then we tend to light up when we meet clients that are like that. And don't get me wrong, like if you took 100 clients that are looking for dog training, probably 20 or 30 also are fascinated by that level of detail. So then we end up landing on those 30 clients. They nerd out with the topic, and then we get reinforced for it. And then we continue seeking out those clients. But we're leaving 70% of the clients out there like in the cold. And where do those 70 clients go? They don't not do dog training. They go to the place that offers them what they're looking for, which is make my problem go away.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. It comes back to that language again, though, doesn't it? It's like use the language that they're using. In fact, I think one of the things that we always use as an example is like, if your clients are referring to their dog as like, oh my gosh, the dog's just being a dick, I was like, put that in your marketing. Use that language. If you know your clients use that, because it's just going to be so much more relatable. Yeah. And actually, I want to circle back to something we were saying a bit earlier on in this conversation about that ability to connect with your service providers, which comes down to that language choice, which comes down to pretty much everything else we've discussed on this. I don't know if you would have heard of this particular model. It's by a guy that we're a little bit obsessed with, love him, Daniel Priestley, and he talks about this 7-11-4 model. So when you are searching for your service providers, so this is, if any of you listening now, you put yourself in that space, if you are now the business owner, if somebody says, oh, go and check out, what were you? Vicky's Pet Services.
Yep.
Yes. Go and check out Vicky's Pet Services. If I cannot consume 7 hours worth of digital content, so if I can't sit down in front of a laptop and consume 7 hours worth of stuff, then that's not helping my trust score with Vicky. If I then can't consume it across, is it 11 different medium types?
Oh, I get confused. Or is it 4 touch points?
Yeah, essentially. So like if I can read stuff, if I can hear stuff, if I can see it on YouTube, if there's videos on social media, if there's a press release, if there's
a book, if
there's loads
blogs.
Of different touch points, then I've got a higher trust score with Vicky. So I'm going to go, oh, I can consume all of this stuff. So therefore, Vicky is someone that I'm going to be interested in working with. So my probability already goes a lot higher. All I now need Vicky to do is just seal the deal by having incredible sales with integrity skills.
Right. You know, that makes a lot of sense to me, that having multiple touch points over time is how consumers make decisions about who to work with in 2025. And a lot of it's going to be on short form media, right? And in fact, this was one of the weaknesses of When Hounds Fly for the first 13 years. And because we're a multi-trainer business, I tried to de-emphasize myself as the figurehead of the company, because my worry was that, oh, well, I want to work with Andre. And it's like, Andre only teaches 1 class a week, but you can work with so-and-so and so-and-so. Well, I don't want so-and-so and so-and-so, so I want Andre. So my thought was to de-emphasize myself and make myself diminish to the point where I could walk into one of my classrooms and no one would recognize me. And I believe that to be the right way to go. And I recognize they are my ways, because as a result, no one person became the face of our business. So we were an orange logo and people couldn't connect online with us because we were an orange logo. So nowadays, I've just decided to be the face of When Hounds Fly. And I put out a lot of content that features me and my face and my expressions and what I'm talking about. And people don't mind that they connect with me on social media and they go to my classes and it's one of my team members teaching. It's totally fine. But that is, I think, how trainers that use aversives are so successful. A lot of their content features them, and through multiple exposures over time over a phone, people see their face, see their eyes looking to the camera. I'm talking to you. because I've been doing this for the last year where I'm talking to the camera a lot, people see me on the street and they look at me and they go, "Oh." And the expression that I see with them on the street is they act as if they're seeing a good friend that they've known for months, even though we've never met. And then when they open their mouth, they look like this and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute. I don't know this person. They don't know me." And then they say, "Oh, I follow you on Instagram." And that's really the power of showing up multiple times, right? The relationship is built before they the phone or reached out via DM or used the chat. So I do think that in terms of using language that clients connect with, that's important. And then just being out there is so important. And a lot of dog trainers in general are really shy about being on camera. But I think that's really important more than ever in 2025.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
And I think it comes back to this fear of judgment of other dog trainers, to be honest, a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it is. You're so right, because the amount of times we've even tried to reach out and connect with as many people as we possibly can, it's so difficult to even find a name sometimes. It's like, dog training business logo. Even the about me section is still like, I'm a science-based positive reinforcement force-free trainer. Here's all my accreditations. I have a dog. I'm like, what's your name? What's your name?
Yes.
And what's your face?
The fundamental bit, your face and name.
I was like, I can't even reach out because I'm like, I have no idea who I'm supposed to be talking to. Are you like, I just have no idea what to expect. And it's been really, really challenging, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Really
definitely.
difficult.
But it's
And going back to the whole AI topic, like again, access to information, unlimited information will be on your phone. So what is the differentiator? Who you are as a person, and are you relatable, and can I connect with you? What is your story? Who's your dog? What's your dog like? These are the things. What kind of dogs do you work with? Talk to them every day through the screen, through social media. I think that's really important moving forward. And I know that that's going to make a lot of people who have been in the industry for 10, 15, 20 years feel a little bit uncomfortable because, like I mentioned, in 2010, what was the strategy for my growth? Search engine optimization and Google business listing. I just focused on that. And now our emphasis is Andre as the face of the business. Andre is a relatable person. Andre that people can connect to and feel affinity with before they need dog training. That's got to be an important part of everyone's strategy in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, I could not agree more, because I think the fundamental thing we all seem to miss as these dog business owners is that, yes, we all have the same skill set. We're in the same category of like, we're a dog trainer. And instead of being so worried about the market being saturated, inverted commas, it's going, well, people are going to be attracted to you because of you. People are going to be attracted to them because of them. You don't need hundreds of clients every month. You probably need a handful to keep your business ticking in a way that you want. Or even if it's a little bit more than a handful, you still don't need the hundreds of opportunities that are out there. So it's, I don't know, I still struggle with this, that it's this mindset again that we're stuck in going, oh, but if like Vicky's just popped up down the road from me and she's another dog trainer and now she's in my area and now, oh, everyone's going to go to Vicky because her prices are lower or whatever it is. I was like, no, they might go to Vicky because they like Vicky. They might go to Vicky because Joe doesn't show her face enough. Or actually, I do like Joe because she swears every now and again and I can relate to that. All this kind of stuff. But it's the truth of what happens in the world.
Yeah. And if you were to ask someone, how much did you pay for your last dental cleaning? Like who'd be able to remember that? Right? Like price is not as important, assuming that you aren't 3 times more expensive than everyone else. People remember why they chose that provider and what experience they gave and whether they're happy with the results. So I think that price competition is a bit of a cop-out.
Yeah. We were having a conversation earlier about how much a McDonald's, oh God, I'm doing it again. I say McDonald's, but she's like, no, it's McDonald's. I'm like, okay.
Not got an A in it.
Okay, whatever. She had a McDonald's earlier and she was like, how much is this? It was like 10 quid, right, for this McDonald's. And then I said, like, we were having a whinge about prices of things. And then I said, actually, like, we've got to expect prices to go up because we're thinking of a McDonald's in the 90s and now we're in 2025. So obviously the price has gone up. But then you made a really good point of saying, like, but it's the same food. Like, it's the same product or service. There's just nothing else you get. And that was our problem. There's no extra value there. So we were like, that's what it is. That's what we're really annoyed about. Is that we're paying extra for what extra? And when you look at like packets of crisps, like you call them chips, I think, packets of crisps have got smaller and we're paying more for them. So therefore we're losing out on that value. So when it comes to like dog trainers, how much value is behind the fee anyway? And basically that is what people are going to pay for anyway. So it was just an interesting conversation for us to go like, a McDonald's is so expensive, but yeah, okay, it is, but it's going to be. But then we're getting nothing else extra for it, are we? So
There is one difference, though, I think, with the like groceries and like consumables price comparison versus dog trainers. Usually, at least for us in our experience, when someone is selecting a dog trainer, it's their first experience looking into it. Like they just got their first dog as an adult and they're looking for puppy classes because someone told them that puppy classes were good. And this is their first time looking at it. Whereas we've been eating McDonald's or crisps or whatever for decades. Therefore, we have a reference as to what it cost 20 years ago. I think that is the difference. And I believe that price objections as a reason why someone can't compete, because it's a first time service thing and it's not typically a recurring service that they buy for years and years and years and years and have a history of remembering what it used to cost. I just don't think that that's much of an issue. For food, I think that's the issue with shrinkflation. Like things are getting smaller, things are going up, and we have reference points from when we're a kid to when we're a young adult to now, and that's where that loss aversion, that pain, sort of hits us as consumers.
yeah, it's so interesting, all this money mindset stuff, though.
I love it. We should do a whole other episode on money mindset.
Oh God, yeah. We talk about money mindset a lot, but yeah, this is triggered like the need to do another one.
Yeah. Just goes to show like we will literally shoehorn a business talk into our lunch as well.
We never switch off.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed this chat with you, Andre. It's been great.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Vicky, for having me. I'm so glad that our schedules worked out perfectly.
Yeah, the stars aligned on this one, didn't it?
It was just a bit of like universal magic.
Yeah.
Not the Disney kind.
No.
Just putting it out there.
So if people want to find out more about you and what you do, what's the best way for them to do that?
Social media is going to be the most convenient. So I'm very active on Instagram and TikTok. So personally, my accounts are just my name. It's Andre_YEU for both Instagram and TikTok. You can find me on Facebook as well. And if you're curious about my team and my company, my dog training business, you can find us on socials too as @WhenHoundsFly.
And I would seriously recommend you all go and follow Andre to get some tips as per what he was talking about earlier and all the talking to camera stuff and what people are actually going to relate to.
Thank you very much. We'll get you in for another episode.
My pleasure. I look forward to chatting again.
Thank you.